Hey guys, it's Books with BethX here, and this is my first YouTube video, so welcome to my little setup of my bookshelf there. So I have already done a few TikTok videos, so I've done 2 get to know me videos, well, the same video but part 1 and part 2, and I've also done my best of 2022 short video. So if you'd like to go follow me over there, you can learn a bit more about me and what I'm interested in basically, and my reading habits. But today, on my first ever booktube video, I am going to discuss my February TBR. So as a disclaimer, usually I aim to read about 2 to 3 books a month. I'm trying to push it up a bit, but if you watch my what I read in January video, you'll see that it's not always achievable depending on the length of the books, which, as I am almost primarily a fantasy reader and also sci-fi, but I think a lot more fantasy, it can be quite difficult to read that many because they tend to be quite bulky books, as you will see in this video. So let's begin. So the first book I am planning on reading for this month, which I definitely should hopefully, fingers crossed, get read this month, is The Fellowship of the Ring, J.R.R. Tolkien's first book in the Lord of the Rings series. So you'll see in my wrap-up, I have also already reviewed this, as I have, if you can see the little bookmark that comes with it, pretty much read all of it. And I'm pretty sure most people will know the story by now, but if you watch my wrap-up, you'll see my review, because I'm sure my opinions on it will not change in the last, I think I've got 15% left, I'm about 85% of the way through. But if you didn't know, it's Lord of the Rings. It's the first Lord of the Rings book where you're following Frodo Baggins on his quest, well, on the start of his quest to destroy the one true ring without being captured or killed in the process. So I'm hoping to get this read hopefully in the next couple of days. I am filming this on the 30th and I've got about 70 pages left, but I am only managing about 15 pages a night at the moment. It takes me about an hour to read that, so it's, yeah. If you watch my get to know me videos, you'll know that I mainly only read at night before I go to sleep, just because I work a 9 to 5 job and have a house to run and chores and cooking and exercise to do, so all those sort of things. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I will get this read by the end of this week. So yeah, that'll be my first book read for this month. Hopefully you can see the Fellowship of the Ring just up there. So the second book I would like to read in February is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So last year I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for the first time. And that was straight away a 5-star read. I read it when I was on holiday in the UK, sat there on a beach reading it, and I just could not put it down. I honestly just wanted to be a hermit for that whole week that we were away. And yeah, that was a 5-star read. I flew through it and I adored it, so I knew I had to pick up her next book. This one's more revolved around a rock and roll band, and how there's a downfall of the band, and it kind of explains what happens there, and I believe it's an interview format, so you'll see how well I can show you that you have like Graham talking, Billy talking. They're kind of going through an interview format, so it shouldn't take me this long to read. Hopefully I'll get this read within a week, if not quicker. And it's only how many pages? 400 pages. That's hardly anything compared to, well, I mean, Fellowship of the Ring is also 400 pages, so it's a very, very different story. So yeah, we're hoping to get this one read second in the month of February. So the third book on my TBR for the month of February is The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. So this came out the end of last year and I managed to get my hands on a copy of it, but unfortunately it is in hardback, whereas all my others are in paperback. But they are still this style, which I love this design. It just looks so lovely and sleek. I don't know if I can show you the map. I love a good map. I don't know how you can see that. See my eyes instead. But yeah, I am very excited to get to this. As anyone who reads Brandon Sanderson knows, he is very good at ending series. The Mistborn first series was just incredible. I think I gave all the books 5 stars, and all the questions you had throughout that series all got answered right at the end of the 3rd book, and it just completely blows your mind. So hopefully this will answer a few questions. So this series is more of a Western compared to the original, which is more of a medieval style heist story where you're basically taking down the Empire. This is more of a Western where you've got guns involved, and it basically involves an outlaw trying to find out what happened to his uncle, essentially, without spoiling anything. But you learn a lot more about the powers, and as the series has developed, there's been more and more technology coming out. So you've slowly had railways developing, and then I think in the latest one, not in this one, but in the previous one, it was televisions and things like that. So it's developed quite a lot from the original series, but that is all explained. You do meet a certain character who I'm not going to spoil because that would be a huge spoiler for the end of the previous series, but they admit that they made life too easy and how they need to make it harder to be able to let things adapt. But yeah, very excited to read this and finish off the series, and once this one's done I can move on to the next Brandon Sanderson series, so very excited to do that. So those are all books I definitely should be able to get through to reading in February. So these next 2 are ones I'm hopefully going to get through to, depending on how long those take, especially the Mistborn one. But I'm hopefully going to read The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. So any British person knows Richard Osman. He's quite famous in the UK. I don't think he's very famous abroad other than for his books now. In the UK he used to be on a TV show called Pointless, which is just a game show. Very good, worth a watch if you're able to get it wherever you're watching. But basically, this is the 2nd book to the Thursday Murder Club series, which follows 4 elderly people living in a care home solving mysteries. They're basically true crime fans. They're probably, if they knew how to listen to a podcast, they'd be listening to the Red Handed podcast, which is one that I personally listen to. And they basically try and solve unsolved mysteries. And in the first one, there ends up being a mystery surrounding their care home and someone who owns the land on it. So I'm not too sure. I don't really want to know too much. I'm obviously reading the blurb, but it's going to be another similar case. I think something to do with an old man who one of the main characters knows of, who's been sent death threats or something. Yeah. So this will be another good one, and I've heard that this one's supposed to be better than the first one, so I'm very excited. The first one I did enjoy. I believe I gave it 4 stars, but I did find I loved the characters, but I found the writing to be quite simple and basic, so hopefully he has improved upon that by this book. So hopefully I'll get around to this one. If not in February, then I will definitely read it in March. So the final book I'd like to get round to in the month of February is Recursion by Blake Crouch. So towards the end of last year I read Dark Matter, which I gave 5 stars, and it made it to my best of 2022 video, which you can find on TikTok if you would like to see the others. But this I am very excited to read. I loved how Dark Matter mixed sci-fi with thriller. We'll ignore Richard Osman. I'm not really much of a thriller reader usually. I'd like to get into more. If there's any recommendations of any good ones and not awful ones that keep winning the Goodreads Choice Awards, like I keep seeing, well, Emily Fox mainly complaining about them, please give me recommendations. But this sounds very interesting. Again, I don't want to look too much into it as it is a thriller, but I believe it's something to do with a disease that gives people new memories, and yeah, it sounds very confusing and basically just what I'd love in a thriller. Sci-fi thriller by Blake Crouch. I need to read his Wayward Pines series, which I believe is a TV show as well, but one day I will get around to that as well. But for now I'm enjoying these 2, which almost come as a pair because they're both similar design as well. But yeah, very excited for that one. So that wraps up my first ever TBR for the month of February on my BookTube channel. You can see the 5 books I'm planning on reading here, including finishing Lord of the Rings. And yeah, hopefully I'll get around to them and be a bit better at reading this month than I was last month. So stick around. I'm sure you'll find out in my what I read in the month of February towards the end of this month. So yeah, thank you for watching. Follow my TikTok because I'm probably going to be more active on there just because the videos are a bit quicker to make, and yeah, see you next time.